Quincy Schools Superintendent Rick DeCristofaro joins us via a teleconference to bring us kind of up to date on what's going on with the Quincy Public Schools during this current pandemic situation. Rick, it really is really unprecedented in my lifetime and probably yours as well, I'm sure.
Absolutely, yes, Joe. Yeah, it's absolutely uncharted, and so we go one day at a time. We plan in so many ways that we can by the week. To make sure our kids get what they need, and parents get the information they need. But before I just talk a little bit, I want to make sure that I thank some people. Certainly the school committee with Anthony Andronico, the vice chair, and Emily Lebo and Doug Guttro and Paul Bergoli and Kathy Hubley and Frank Santoro have been unbelievable, along with Mayor Koch. Constant communication. A lot of parents have questions, they go through them. So there's a real nice path of communication. So I appreciate working with them all the time, and as well as Ruth Jones. Ruth Jones is extraordinary and always professional, always available, which I love,
Yes.
but very, very professional and knowledgeable. So we appreciate having her certainly in the city, but from a school system selfish perspective, to have her to chat with and to learn from is really a great thing for us.
Sure. What are kinds of some of the things that parents and students are asking you, Rick? What are some of their top concerns right now?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing really right now is we had a situation that parents were needed to be really on top of or communicated with in regard to a situation at Wollaston School that really required a lot of communication about a teacher that had tested positive. She very professionally let us know. So on Sunday, we worked with Ruth Jones, again, Mayor Koch, school committee, and talked about what we should do and how we should do it. And the decision making was mine, so I want to make that perfectly clear. But we had a lot of people to talk with about what we're going to do. So we ended up getting the word out to the parents of the grade that the students were at, the teacher taught. But then, as the day went on, realized that we should send it to the whole school, and so that's what we did. And these letters are very difficult to write because you don't want to write too much, you don't want to write too little, and then you get it from both sides. That was too much information. And parents may call and say, we didn't get enough information. Well, you have to be really careful when you deal with personnel issues like this. So we did what we did, and I think we did it successfully and as effectively as we possibly could.
So as I understand, that teacher was last in the Wollaston School on March 12th. Is that right?
Yes, Thursday the 12th, and showed symptoms of a cough. And so that's why it really opens the door to communication. No symptoms, no communication.
Right.
So that's really what we did and how we did it. And Ruth was extraordinary, and I appreciate her help, because these situations, especially with the isolation piece. March 12th was how many days ago? I'm not sure right now, 10 days, 11 days, 8 days. So by Thursday, that isolation piece should be up. And that's a very, very good thing.
Yes.
So that's what we did also. And that was shared in the letter, Joe, with parents, to the parents.
Okay.
That they would self-isolate until that time. And the other key is that not only would they self-isolate till the 26th, but they didn't really have to go back. They didn't have to say how many persons was my child in contact with. Ruth was very specific about that. So that was, another thing that we didn't have to do that, crossed our mind.
Yes, sure.
And the other most important thing, I'm sorry, Joe, the most important thing really is that the teacher's recovering well.
That was my question. Okay.
Yeah, that's in the letter, and actually, I should send you a copy of that letter. I should have said,
please,
so you have it. And so she's recovering well, and that is probably one of the most important things. The second, obviously important, is that our students are well as well.
Yes, yeah. Have any students, exhibited any signs of symptoms at all?
No, not to my knowledge.
Okay.
Not to my knowledge. And I'm hoping that we would have known somehow, some way, if it went to Ruth Jones, or Ruth would have contacted with us immediately about, from DPH. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. So in this kind of downtime, Rick, what is happening in the school buildings themselves?
Yeah, the school buildings right now have our custodians in there. So they're cleaning on a very regular basis.
Okay.
We really don't have much going on at all. There
Right.
are some teachers that want to come in to get personal items, curriculum items per se. So that may be going on, and they
Hmm.
just come in, they get their stuff, and they go right out. Other than
Sure.
that, there's no one in these buildings. There are 4 buildings, Lincoln Hancock, Snug Harbor, Quincy High, North Quincy High, that we're giving grab and go lunches as well as packaged breakfast for the next day. So we're doing that. There's probably about 250, 260 a day students that are taking part of it.
Okay.
So we'll see. We'll keep monitoring that to see if it increases or decreases, and it certainly may increase as time goes on. But we'll take a look at that. And the other thing too is that there may be people in the buildings at like North Quincy and Broadmeadows. That's another building that will be open in a sense to a contractor that's doing business. So that's something that will continue until
Okay.
it is done. That work could not have been done when our students were there. So they kind of
Right.
take advantage of that, but they get in, they do their job, they leave, we clean, we sanitize. This is every day we do that right after them. So those are things that are going on, as well as, at those schools, at those 4 schools we're serving lunch. We also had lunch and breakfast. We also have packets, available for our students, and they change at the end of the week. Like for today's Tuesday, yesterday we had new packets available, and we're going to do that, as we go, rather than have the same packet there.
Hmm.
So our leadership team is working on that to have new packets, new information for them at the sites. They also have books. Some of the books that we had extra of, whether it's math books or novels, they're available too at these sites if parents want to take those and work with their students on it, or it's just free reading time. And we know that parents need as much as possible in regard to activities for their children.
Sure.
And, yeah, and young adults, so it's a very difficult time, I would suggest, for parents, because some are frustrated that we don't have this online type of curriculum. And the reason why we wouldn't even do it at this point is because the Department of Education is really directing us not to. What they say really it's a time to keep learning alive, not necessarily for new learning.
Okay.
These are the commissioner's guidelines. Now, if he changes those, now then we have to look at it quite differently, and I think it would be a very difficult task for us to get it up and running as quickly as some parents may want it.
Right.
But we have on our website Google documents that that parents can get in, and in fact, Laura in our office and IT have been working with well over 1,500 parents that making sure they have the student password, so they can get in on these. But there is a plethora of great information, great learning, but for every grade from pre-K to 12 by content area. So we're making sure that all of those are out there. We change those, we update it, every day, making sure that there's an incredible variety for our students and our parents to share with our students. So that communication is going on, and I think if you get on our website, you'd be able to say that we do have a lot of information. But again, I think some parents are frustrated that it's not the online education, it's not their teacher sharing with them.
I see. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're working with the Quincy Education Association, Allison Cox, president, to create a framework for our teachers and create a framework of expectations. We want to continue have our teachers, our educators, not just the classroom teachers, communicate with their students on a very regular basis. And again, there's a lot of information out there, but they can create a video. They can create some things that they can share. And we know that our sites really are the best connections. So Coddington is a great place, and we do communicate, but we understand we need to get more of our principals involved. So the principals, because that's who the real connection for our parents, more importantly, correction for our kids. So we're going to develop that even this week, get that piece up and running, so the principals will be sharing with parents and kids. Incredibly important. And again, some parents call here and say, what about that, superintendent? And I say that we're getting there, and we will.
Okay. Have there been any changes coming down in terms of requirements for SATs or MCAS exams for
Haven't heard anything about SATs
Okay.
at all. The AP exams,
Yeah.
I think that those will be online somehow, some way, based on curriculum ending on that March 11th, March 12th day. So
Okay.
I don't know how that's going to work. That may be fair for our students or not fair. They're going to have
Right.
to wait. There's going to have to be some wait, some algorithm that they're going to have to create to
Yes.
make it fair for all. Um, so that's what you have for the MCAS. A couple of things with the MCAS. The grade 10 English language arts assessment, it was scheduled for March 24th. That's been postponed. The grade 3 to 8 English language arts MCAS, that's postponed as well. That was supposed to be on March 30th. And then the alternate test for portfolio really for our special education students, that's been postponed as well. That was supposed to
Okay.
be by April 3rd. So that's all we've heard, and no dates tied to that other than the simple postponement. So we'll
Okay.
wait and we'll see where we go with that. There's the MCAS, and then we have the Student Opportunity Act that we were dealing with, and
Right.
getting up and running with. That's kind of stopped because we haven't gotten any real information from the Department of Education at this time.
Okay. I'm thinking especially for the for your seniors who this will be their last year in school, and whether they go to higher education or to work or to military, perhaps. How does this impact them?
Well, a significant
Yeah.
impact. A student called me the other day about the junior prom. Another one called about the
Yeah. Those
senior
things
prom.
too. Yeah.
Graduation is important, but that prom came before. So that's real important. So there's all those sorts of very important and critical dates, kind of dates of the heart.
Yeah.
For people, for our students, and for parents. So I think what may happen is, as we approach April 6th,
Hmm.
6th, 7th, I think that the state will come out, the governor will come out, or the Department of Education, whomever would do that, will come out with an extension, if that's what happens, to
Okay.
April vacation maybe, or
Right.
till the end of the year. So we'll see what happens with that. But those things definitely are at risk right now in regard to any sort of planning.
Sure. As I understand, regardless of what happens, June 23rd is the last day of school. Is that right?
It is, yeah. June 23rd for our students and 24th for our teachers.
Okay. Um,
Very different, very different.
yeah, I'll say. In your, professional career, Rick, have you ever faced anything like this before?
Never,
Yeah.
never. It was, I think 2015, we talked a lot, you and I talked a lot about the snow,
Right.
how many days we had,
Sure.
and
Yeah.
March, I think it was March in particular, just went on and on and
Oh,
on.
yeah.
And this very much is like a snow day. It's much more critical, but it just goes day to day. And the decision is to when to bring our students back. That is such a critical decision by the governor, by the
Yeah.
Department of Education, because they need a significant amount of data, most likely, to make a key critical decision like that.
Yeah. The health and wellness of everyone's going to take prime priority, certainly over anything.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
there is a lot of uncertainty. You're right. Everybody
Mhm.
I ask about that says, well, we just don't know because we've never done this before,
Correct,
Yeah.
correct, correct. And what I didn't mention on the curriculum side too is that, in public schools, you need to understand that there needs to be this equitable piece, that equity of access to the curriculum. And, when we think about technology access, when we think about language access, we think about also a comfort with the curriculum. There are some students that get the curriculum right away and move forward. And
Yeah.
then there are others that when you differentiate in a classroom, you really need to be very well aware and cognizant of those students as well. So that curriculum piece is really critical. We're getting as many activities out there that parents need to take a look at,
Mhm.
and teachers again are sending things out. So I want to make that really clear because it's really important that we keep that homeschool connection going with our parents, especially our kids.
Sure. How is this impacting the special education students, Rick? What's happening with them?
Yeah, I mean, again, activity-wise, we have, we look at our special education students. We have a lot of activities for them. What may happen, certainly very shortly, maybe beginning today, virtual OT, occupational therapy, physical
Oh,
therapy, speech therapy. Those may become virtual. So there's that connection with
Okay.
those students. But there's other things like the educational plans. When are they up, and when meetings should be held, and
Right.
could there be virtual meetings, which I think would be very, very difficult.
Mm,
So those are the kinds of considerations to keep those plans going and
yeah.
then hit the ground running. And also, I think the state is sharing that if indeed, like that OT, PT piece, if indeed the school system doesn't do that, when we do get back in session, we'll do compensatory services, which means we go back and say, okay, this is what we owe you,
Hmm.
and this is how we will make it up.
Okay. Yeah. I remember during the 2015 snow events that you spoke about, a lot of kind of in-kind learning was taken into account by the state. It's,
Exactly.
might be similar. I mean, this is an education in itself, just going through this experience.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're absolutely right. It's going to be very, very interesting because as we know, as you and I talk, everything is so uncharted, so unprecedented.
Yeah.
It's the same at that level too.
Yeah.
And as we make decisions here for, upwards to 10,000 students,
Right.
the governor and the Department of Education have the whole state to deal with. So it's very difficult for them
Hmm.
as well. And I think that's why right now we don't hear, or we haven't heard, maybe today or tomorrow or the next day, that school will be beginning in April, or will we go to April break, after April break,
Right.
or will they just go for the year?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the most difficult piece. How do you make that decision? Like the snow day, when do you bring them back?
Right.
There's no snow on the streets, the sun's out, but there's 6 feet of snow in the sidewalk where our kids have to walk. So it's, it's much more difficult for them
Of course.
at
Yeah.
that level, but it's a very difficult decision.
What are you hearing from your colleagues? Braintree, Weymouth, surrounding communities, Boston. What are their
Yeah,
concerns?
Boston, I don't really talk with all that much. I talk, mostly with Braintree, Weymouth,
Mhm.
Milton.
Mhm.
But I think that smaller school systems are struggling. We have, if anyone wants to look at our website, I think they would be very impressed with what we have on it, the organization, and it's just going to get better.
Mhm.
I think we offer so much more than other cities and towns, towns mostly
Right.
to our south. So I think we're in good shape there, but I think they may look towards it's so much smaller. Maybe their teachers are much more in contact with their kids. I really don't know, but they're all struggling. And again, it's that, what do we do when do we coming back to school? What dates, and then looking at a new calendar, and filling in the dates that we can, what should
Right.
not take place, what should take place, what's important, what are the key important dates, and what kinds of things we can wait until our
Yeah.
next school year.
Anything else you'd like to tell folks on this in this particular time?
No, I don't think so. I think I'm hoping that people remain as patient
Hmm.
as they possibly can. They know they can call my office anytime. I'm Saturday, Sunday, I'm usually here, so they can call, and I can help as much as I can.
Yeah.
And we can continue to talk, learn from each other, and end up doing what's very, very best for our students. And that's really what it's all about. And be out there and be kind, be respectful, help your neighbors if you can safely.
Right.
Please do that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's always the caveat in this particular situation. You have young people, and I'm sure they're more than willing to go out and work in the community and volunteer. However, with with this particular situation, maintaining 6 feet of distance, it's going to require some creativity for sure.
Absolutely is. Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you, Joe. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate that very much. And you stay well.
Yes, thank you. You as well, to you and your family. And if we can be of any help in the future, Rick, to get information out to the community, please call on us. We'll be happy to do it.
Will do anytime, Joe.
All right. Good to talk to you.
Thank you very much. You take care.
Yep. Bye-bye.